Did someone else just join? No? Okay.
No, I started the recording, so.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, Kristen.
Hello, hello.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Oh, yes. God bless Friday, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen Mike or heard from JJ in a while. Hope he's doing okay. I'm sure he's busy.
Michael was saying something about a second meeting going over.
JJ's in an executive meeting. Melissa, he said that if it runs over, he might be late or may not be able to attend.
Okay.
I'm sending an email to Eric Jensen real quick.
Someone just
I just joined.
Awesome.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah.
Hi.
Good to hear from you. Okay,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we have quorum, and the only other one we'd be waiting on is JJ, and he might or might not join us. So let's get going. I will call our Meaningful Careers Committee meeting to order at 1:03 p.m. today, July 25th, 2025. Okay, Mike, do you want to do roll call?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Melissa,
Melissa Van Hook, your chair here. I'm here.
Monica Cooper,
Monica Cooper, South Advocate, Chair of the Grant Committee.
thank you. Eric Jensen,
I'm here.
thank you. Kristen Mackey,
Hello, Kristen Mackey, present.
thank you. And then we have two staff members, Jason Sneed and myself. And Jason and I are twins. We're wearing our ADVPC shirts, so we coordinated that this morning.
Nice.
Yeah, those were awesome.
You're
Okay,
official.
Melissa, that's our roll call.
Thank
And
you.
we do have a quorum. We have 5 voting members, and so 3 constitutes a quorum. So we have met that requirement.
We're good. We're good. And yes, Jason, you are awesome, by the way. So,
Yes.
okay. Thank you so much. So agenda item B, our review of January 8th, 2025 meeting minutes. I hope we all had a moment to look at the minutes. Before I call for a motion to approve, are there any corrections or comments that need to be made on the minutes? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion to approve the meeting minutes as written for the January 8th, 2025 Meaningful Careers Committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Eric. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Monica. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. And nobody is abstaining. Okay, motion carries. Okay. Agenda item C, the review of the Meaningful Careers annual work plan for our federal fiscal year 2026. It's coming so quickly.
It
Mr.
is.
Mike?
Okay.
Go.
I got confused with all the cross outs.
I'll explain those, Monica.
Okay.
I apologize. So what you see in front of you is the draft of the 2026 Meaningful Careers Work Plan. The fiscal year is for 2026. So all of this work will begin October 1st, 2025 and run through September 30th, 2026. The draft of the work plan is what we've been working from staff, and we've been having meetings internally. And so we went through the work plan, and what I did is I made recommendations to delete some of the activities because they've been achieved, or to combine some activities. There are 15 activities that are included in this draft right now as it stands. And so that means, Monica, that there are 4 activities that were deleted. So that's what that strikeout means. And
Okay.
then 3 of them have been combined. So that means that if you subtract 7 from 15, you get 8. So
Right.
I'm proposing making a recommendation to our committee that we work on 8 activities. And so what I would like to do is just go through them. If you have any questions, please stop me, and I will provide further explanation. So starting on page 1, and by the way, there are 3 objectives. The first objective is transition-aged youth and 14 to 22. And then the second objective is working age individuals 22 plus with IDD. And then the third is all of those individuals that support people with disabilities. So on page 1, you'll see that activity 1, create and disseminate a minimum of 2 plain language, easy to read information resource materials. This is a Pathways to the Future series that we created. We've created 6 of them. And so those are being shared at transition fairs. We're going to be attending the IDEA conference, ADE's conference in August. So we'll be sharing those documents with teachers, with transition specialists, and with other agencies. So I felt like 6 is a good number to have right now. And if we receive requests for additional resource materials, we'll be glad to add those. And again, just high level, the 6 resource materials are transition plans, apprenticeships, and career and technical education. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. ABLE accounts, DB 101, encouraging people to work. So those are the 6 resources that we have. Are there any questions about activity 1? And so again, what I'm recommending is that this activity, that we delete this activity from the work plan. And what I'll need the committee to do is to review and approve and make a recommendation. And then the recommendation that the committee makes will be shared with our team. And then this will be submitted to Health and Human Services for our 26th work plan.
And Mike, I just wanted to jump in and let our committee know that you and I did meet on this earlier this week, and I am okay with what's in this, the changes that have been made.
Okay,
So,
thank
right.
you. Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Okay, the second activity is review the Raising Expectations report and collaborate with partners to determine policy recommendations. We didn't get very much traction from that report. Although we did contract with the Center for the Future of Arizona through ASU, they met with stakeholders, they provided some recommendations, but some of those recommendations, although they were good, they were kind of vague. And so it was really hard to follow up on them. It's still a good resource. It's still going to be used, but we're not going to spend a great deal of time and energy to try to implement some of those recommendations. Okay, Marcy wants to join. Okay. Hi, Marcy. I guess she's on mute. Okay, so the third item is the council will raise awareness and this is now on page 2. The council will raise awareness and actively advocate for the value of dual enrollment opportunities for students with IDD. The council engaged the services of Carla Phillips-Kravickas, who used to be a former council member, and she has been helping us with strategic planning, with creating resources, with helping with the creation of Think College. And then this is one of the projects that she had worked on. She prepared a policy brief. That policy brief has been published and shared. And so what we're proposing is that now we focus on, again, raising the awareness of dual enrollment, and then coming up with a policy change through the Department of Education to encourage dual enrollment. As we all know, In the past, dual enrollment has really been exclusively used by AP students, advanced placement students. And teachers were never really encouraging students with disabilities to consider taking courses, college courses. So we want to change that paradigm. We want to encourage students with IDD to consider college and to start taking that bold step to start taking courses. The next one is item number 4. And this one has to do with transition planning. In the report that the Institute for Community Inclusion prepared for us, one of the recommendations they made is that transition planning begin at a much younger age, from 16, that it would begin at 14 and maybe even lower. But this is some work that Carla had been doing. And so what I want to do is I want to work with Disability Rights Arizona, specifically Amanda Glass, who is an education specialist, to see if she can help develop some recommendations to see how we can lower the age of transition planning. Okay. Item number 5 is that report that was prepared by the Institute for Community Inclusion. There were some good recommendations in that report. And so what we want to do is we want to see how we can work with agencies to implement some of those recommendations. One of the recommendations, for example, was PREETS. PREETS is a really good program. Excuse me for giving out some incorrect information, but I don't know at this point how many schools are offering it, but we want to increase the awareness of PREETS, and so we want to see how we can make that happen. And it's not just the transition school to work schools that have PREETS. There are other schools that are offering the PREETS. And again, it's a great program that is offered by VR. Some people don't know that it's a VR program. And the service providers aren't really ranked on who's providing it and how good they are, how effective they are. So perhaps we can come up with a recommendation on what service providers are providing it and how they're delivering it, whether it's in person, virtual, and how good they are in delivering the information through PREETS. Anyone have any questions so far?
I did. I just raised my hand.
Okay.
Something to consider as we go forward with the PREETS thing, and Kristen, maybe you'll have some thoughts on this too. When I talk to parents, what I run into is they say, you know, of course, it's like, I don't understand exactly what this is. So it needs to be in like plain language. Here's what it is. Here's who it's for. And then they say, I don't understand how to sign my child up for it. And I don't understand how to find a vendor. So it's like, that's where I'm finding a lot of people. I'm like, have you gone through this? You know, have you gotten service for this? Because you don't have to you don't have to be an enrolled VR client. And they say, I got stopped in the process because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how to find a vendor, and I didn't understand how to fill out the stuff to enroll for it. And I've heard that from several people. So I'm like, okay. So I don't know if we could work with VR, or if we just need to develop a plain language thing to set up for families, or I don't know. Kristen, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it would be beneficial for us to work together on it. One of the challenges if we're offering at the school is the schools will let the vendors on the campus, but not necessarily us. So, or they're hesitant to let the vendors on campus also. So that is one of our biggest challenges, is that we've struggled with being able to get onto the school campus to share that information. I am absolutely, though, we can for sure look at how to make the application process easier, better, whatever. It's not a bad time to start doing that, because the contract is, I think the 5 years is coming up here pretty soon. So, you know, not a terrible time to start looking at what that might look like in the future.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. And my thought with that is that I know that public schools are like a whole thing. And I don't, with the expansion of ESA, regardless of how anybody feels about it, that whole thing, I'm like, but the reality is we do have a lot more people in either private schools or homeschooling that I think would be really helpful to target. There's a lot of parent groups. There's a lot of really good private schools that are interested in this. And I've got some good contacts with those too. So I don't know if VR has targeted those two populations or that population at all.
We do, to the extent that we know about it. But if it's onesies, twosies, we probably haven't. We have tried to do charter schools and those types of things that we can grab that information off of a website. But in terms of people that are using ESA or individuals or family, it's probably not.
Okay.
So that might, if we can develop together some sort of flyer or some information, then we would always love the help to be able to disseminate that to the different parties as well,
Okay.
community partners.
I would love that. Thank you. And I see Mike taking notes furiously. So thank you so much.
I just want to comment on the Evidence for Success conference that was held just a couple of weeks ago by the Institute for Human Development. And VR had their pre-ETS team that were there. Kristen, that was an incredible presentation. They did such a fantastic job. And there were probably about 20 people in that session. So I was really glad to hear that.
That's
And
great.
so I see it as like another VR's best kept secrets, but we just have to, help create the awareness and make sure that parents are taking advantage of it, schools are, et cetera.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback, and agree, we'd always like to get more people involved. So recognizing that it is sometimes challenging though to fill out the paperwork, where do you need to go for it, all of that stuff.
Right.
Our new system doesn't require quite the level of documents and document entry to be able to do something. And it does have a specific pre-ETS card. So there is now a pre-ETS section within our system, which was not something we had before. So it should be easier. Should be. We're still learning how it works.
This is Monica, and I also think the more stuff that's in plain language, the better.
I agree,
It
Monica.
had been mentioned that there was something that needed to be in plain language. I think the more that is in plain language, the better it is.
I
Yes.
agree, absolutely. And, maybe y'all have some good resources for that. I am struggling with finding like who we can contract with to get information into plain language, because we are heavy in government language. And so what does that look like, and who can we contract with? Because we don't have internal expertise on how to do that. So who does that work that is on a state contract that can help us with all of that is something that I kind of keep trying to noodle around. And I don't have any good contacts. So just putting that out there, if anybody knows, that would be something that would be nice to be able to explore.
Kristen, there's someone at the Sonoran Center.
Drew, he used to work with them. So Drew Milne.
Yes, Drew Milne. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He's really good.
he is. I know he moved.
He's working out of Washington or Oregon, but he works remotely. But I think he would be a really good person that might be able to help with that.
There's also Michelle Stokes. She's pretty good
Yeah,
as well.
I know that Michelle, but she's not on a state contract anyhow.
Yeah, she used to be, but I
fashion,
guess
so
she's not anymore.
Yeah.
that's what's hard for me. I can't pay for it if it's not on a state contract, but I could potentially do a interagency agreement with Sonoran Center for that.
Right.
Thanks for that, Michael.
I was wondering if Draz would know, if JJ or his people over there might know too.
Yeah. Amanda Glass might know someone, so I can ask Amanda
Okay.
about that. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Monica, we're all on the same page with plain language. I'm like, yep, 100% agree with you there.
Thank you, Monica, for
Okay.
mentioning that.
Yeah.
Okay, so item number 7 is a new activity, and we have been discussing this. The Meaningful Careers wanted to support a new project search site, and I had conversations with the Sonoran Center as well as 2 organizations, the Arizona School for the Deaf and Blind and Mesa Public Schools. Unfortunately, the Arizona School for the Deaf and Blind, they were never able to secure a business site. So we sort of removed them from consideration. We did consider Mesa Public Schools, but as we all know, Mesa Public Schools has had a dwindling enrollment, which resulted in a lot of layoffs. Teachers, Martin Apple, our favorite guy, was recently retired or became retired. And then their special ed director was also, his position was eliminated. So make a long story short, we removed Mesa Public Schools from consideration. So now there is a new school that is very interested in becoming a project search site, and that is the Kingman Unified School District. So Loretta Alvarez, who is the transition manager for the Sonoran Center, and a new project search coordinator have been hired. They are meeting with Kingman Unified School District. There's going to be a meeting in the next 2 weeks to see where they are, to see about that commitment and see how we can move forward. What the council is proposing, our Meaningful Careers, is that we pay for the licensing fee because Project Search National requires a licensing fee. So that they can provide the technical assistance, they can provide the program fidelity, they can help. And so that fee will be used for that. And you have to have that in place before you can really move forward. And also the requirement is that the students be VR clients too. So we want to make sure that that happens. So I'll have more information for our committee as that meeting, after that meeting takes place. But what we're hoping to do is to be able to fund this in fiscal year 26. And then once that licensing fee is paid, and then as that program continues at the site, they will be responsible for the renewal fee. And in the case of Kingman Public Schools, it will be $300. And so they'll be responsible for that. It will be a one-time investment made by the council, but we'll continue to work with them. Okay.
My mind mulling over how do we make sure that we can get the VR teams aware and informed of that as well, because we have all of the other project searches in Arizona are managed by VR with Sonoran USAID. So, what does that look like in the future? Probably something to consider and see how we might coordinate that.
Okay.
And at least be aware, because of where you're reaching out for potential other sites.
Yeah, and actually, Kristen, there is another site that is being considered. It's on the Navajo reservation. So I know that will probably take much longer for planning, but they are reaching out to communities outside metropolitan Phoenix and Tucson. So that's good.
Yeah. I did know of that one, the Navajo Nation. We were trying to encourage that, but this Kingman one I was not aware of. So I'll make sure that the team knows that it's happening, so that, and I'll maybe see what kind of data we have on students out there in that age range.
Great.
What is the industry?
I think it's a hospital. Hospitals really are I think ideal sites. So it looks like they're working with the hospital there in Kingman. Okay, the next one is under Objective 2, and this is a project with the Arizona ANSI chapter. This is a project that was started in the last fiscal year. I'm glad to report that we had a good outcome, and I'm going to be reporting a little bit more about this. It's item D on our agenda. But originally, in our work plan, we said that we would work with the Arizona APSI chapter on some evidence-based practices and that lead to better employment outcomes. And one of the ideas I had was to share information on customized employment. But since VR was doing their great customized employment rollout, I said, no, we're going to do something else. And so we elected to partner with them and do a survey. And that survey, again, produced some really good results. So what we want to do is we want to continue partnering with them, the Sonoran Center and the Colorado Office of Employment First. Okay, item number 2 is Think College. We've done a great job of creating an Arizona Alliance, which includes Northern Arizona University, Grand Canyon, University of Arizona, and ASU. We got it off the ground. We've been having meetings every year. We have a one-day planning session at the Helios Foundation. We had one this past May. And so we want to continue the work of Think College. We do have a Think College page on our website. And so we just want to increase the opportunities for students with intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities to participate in inclusive programs. So that's what that activity is. Item number 4 is a little bit expanded, and this is focusing on every year there's National Disability Employment Awareness Month, which takes place in October. We've partnered with VR, with Sonoran Center, with IHD and Disability Rights Arizona. We have a new partner, and that is the Governor's Arizona Workforce Council. And so we've been meeting with them. We're going to include them in the NDM activities. We're going to include a governor's proclamation. We're going to include a press release. Yeah, it's really being ramped up. So I'm really glad that the governor's office is recognizing this. And so we're going to be working with them. Item number, okay, so I'm on page 8, and this is objective 3. And this has to do with ABLE training and DB 101. So what we want to do is we want to help Brittany Chipley, who is the executive director of the ABLE program. We want to help her enhance the presentation for the ABLE program. And we want to help recruit schools and increase the number of training sessions so that parents, students, transition specialists can learn about the ABLE program. So Jason and I are going to be working closely with Brittany. We're going to be working with schools, and we're going to be more proactive about pushing and promoting these training sessions. There has been a shift in the World Institute of Disability. Gina Griffiths and Nicholas Love were the premier trainers, but unfortunately, their positions with WID were eliminated. So there's a new person that is administering the DB 101 program. We want to work with her to make sure that there's awareness for the trainings. We had created a Pathways to the Future on DB 101, but it's 6 pages in length. We want to condense it so it's more of an infographic, and it can be used as an item to help promote DB 101. So again, we'll be working more closely with DB 101 and the ABLE program.
So Mike, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
I met with Nicholas recently, and Nicholas is doing consulting. And since Nicholas really is the expert on so much of this, especially DB 101, I mean, that was his baby. Is there a way that we can work with Nicholas on a contract basis on something else? Because I know that, the last time we spoke, he was certainly open to this.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that's a great idea.
Like he would, I know he would be open because he's looking to expand his consulting for sure. And I'm like, it makes me crazy because I'm like, he put all this time into this. He is the expert. And it just makes sense to go back to the source, right? And I do believe he's got some time right now.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We're in the process of doing our 5-year planning right now. So we've conducted 5 listening sessions. We had we had 5 in-person listening sessions in Payson, Somerton, Tuba City, Lake Havasu City, and Somerton. And then we had 2 virtual sessions. We're going to have a session this coming Monday with a Hispanic advocacy group, GANE. But maybe as this starts to surface, this is something that we can add to the next 5-year planning. But Marcy raised her hand. Marcy?
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that was on the DB 101 stuff too for Nick.
Okay.
Because that
All
is his area of expertise, and he's really the one who put that together. Okay, I'm quiet now, Marcy.
Marcy?
Sorry, I had to get off my mic. We have to make sure Nicholas is on state contract. So Michael, you'll just have to talk to him and figure out what his status is if he's pursuing that.
Yeah.
It's the same issue that we would have with anybody. If they're, starting up their own business and stuff like that, the same with plain language. With Michelle Stokes, we could not contract with her because she was not on state contract. We tried to entertain that a couple years ago, and I explained that to Michelle. So there was, even if she was to come in under the limit, the procurement limit of $10,000, we were not able to remedy the specifics that procurement was asking. So it became like this back and forth for like 6 months, and we just decided not to pursue it any further. So the best thing in order to avoid that is that they really do need to come under state contract so that they become a vendor.
Yeah, agreed. And, Nicholas reached out to me, but because of the shift and because I do have a contract with WID, have to be careful about who I engage with and for what purposes. And the WID contract that I have does offer training and we open that up to anybody. So in the interim, if you're still developing this, obviously VR staff are kind of our primary audience, but would it be helpful for me to share the training information with you for team members, or how? I mean, I guess because it could be shared with school districts, but I don't know if you have a listserv with that or not yet developed.
We don't.
Okay. Well, so just know that, if you have people that have expressed interest in such, feel free to let me know, and we can try to get it, I can get the information to you and you can share that. We also have a DB 101 brochure that we use. We've worked with them to put that together. It doesn't have anything specific to ABLE though.
Okay.
So was also looking at the DES website to see if Able Account has their own thing, and is there a way we could kind of meld those together? So that might be an option as well. But we have a lot of staff that could assist with this too if you need some kind of Arizona VR input.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. And thank you, Marcy, for raising that issue about being on state contract. I appreciate that. Okay, moving along, there were 2 other activities that were deleted from the 26 work plan, and that was to conduct a employer engagement administration. To have an in-person employer engagement forum. But now, working with the governor's workforce development, that's something they want to do. So that's sort of been consolidated in that other activity. So I'm really happy about that. And then the last item that was deleted, and I know we talked a lot about this, but it was the leadership development and advocacy skills training that we wanted to do with Alan Bergman. We made a decision to hold off on that and to remove it from the work plan. When we started to have the Trump's administration with all the changes that were occurring, we put a hold on everything. We put a hold on that. And so we kept pushing it back. So we just decided to just go ahead and delete it from the work plan. So that is what I am recommending for Meaningful Careers. So again, there are 8 activities that that we can work on for fiscal year 26.
Are there any questions for Mike or comments? Because this is something that we'll need to vote on and approve so he can go forward. And I know we've already had some good discussion. Okay, good job, Mike, by the way. I know that it has been a lot of change, a lot of work, a lot of shuffling for sure, you know, to figure it out. And I appreciate that you come up with some really kind of exciting plans. You know, into our committee, I feel like we really wanted to focus on what we could do that would be a little bit more impact. I know we do a lot of research sometimes, which is great, right? But you got to do something with that research at the end of the day. So we're really trying to focus on some things that we can have some actual outcomes from it. And I hope you guys see the potential in it too. So no comments, no questions? Okay. Was there anything in there?
No, if you could just call for a motion to approve the work plan.
I thought I heard somebody take a breath like they're going to say
Okay.
something. So
I
But
took
no.
a breath, but I wasn't gonna say anything, except I hope in the future, if there are any webinars, I'd like to be considered.
Absolutely, Monica.
okay. And you can breathe, by the way. That's just fine.
Yeah,
No, no
I
breathing
was gonna
allowed.
say, I don't want to end things too soon.
Yeah, definitely take a breath. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to call for a motion to approve the Meaningful Careers Annual Work Plan for federal fiscal year 2026, as Mike just presented it. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Monica. That was first. And do I have a second? Eric?
Second.
Thank you, Eric. All those in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Is anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to thank Marcy for helping with this. Marcy has been really a guiding force and has helped me tremendously. So thank you, Marcy.
Yes, thank you, Marcy. I don't know how you guys do it all.
You're welcome. We've got 4 more goals to go through and present to the work plan committee next week. So
Getting close.
getting close. Thank you.
So Mike is going to talk about our agenda item D, kind of excited about. So Direct Employment Service Professional Survey. This was the collaborative project with APSE, Sonoran Centers for Excellence in Disabilities, and the Colorado Office of Employment. And I'm just going to say thank you, Mike, in advance for kind of getting the ball rolling on some of this. Okay, I'm going to mute out now.
Okay, you're welcome. So what I'm proposing is that we continue the work that that began last year. And as I mentioned to you, I had proposed that we do some type of information, create awareness for customized employment, but Kristen hired the Sonoran Center to do that. They've done a fabulous job. And so that was good because it gave me an opportunity to do something else. And so what I did is I approached the Arizona APSE chapter because I had no money in our budget to do anything. And so I asked them if they would be willing to provide some funding to obtain some technical assistance. And so I requested $2,000 from the APSE board, and Jason was a treasurer for Arizona APSE. And so I requested the money to be used to provide technical assistance because Colorado Office of Employment First, which is the only Office of Employment First in the United States, had done some work, some survey work. And so I asked if they could help us. They said that they would. I asked the Sonoran Center if they could help develop the survey. I asked the Sonoran Center if we develop a survey, can we use their Qualtrics systems to do the data analysis and the report generation? They said that they would. So it was a really good collaboration. So what we did is we surveyed direct employment service professionals. And what was really good about this is it was really, it provided a baseline of who these individuals are. I was so happy that we did it in a fairly short period of time. A survey was released November the 1st. It was open through December the 31st, 2024. We received 303 submissions, which is a pretty good number. 242 of those 303 were validated after we removed duplicate, incomplete, or bot-generated responses. We provided a $50 gift card incentive, so maybe that helped increase the number of participants. You know, it's always good to have an incentive. The survey provided some really good information, and I'll go through this quickly because I know we have about 12 minutes left. But what we found is that 86% of the direct employment service providers have 1 to 3 years experience of employment experience. 48% of them hold a bachelor's degree, which is really encouraging because I had always heard that providers are just hiring people off the street. They don't have to have any previous experience. They can be a job coach. They can be a job developer. Maybe that might be happening, but it's not happening on the scale that we thought it was happening. 79% identify as female, which is probably not surprising. What was surprising is that the individuals providing the service are younger. So they're 25 to 34 years old, which is good. 80% of them are white, Caucasian. 19% of them are Hispanic or Latino. One disappointing thing that happened during the survey is we did not get any response from any of our tribal partners. And so I don't know why that happened, but that's something that we need to explore. 84% of the services that are provided outside of Phoenix and Tucson, which is really interesting because you think that the metropolitan areas have the larger population, have more providers, more staff, but it's the service are provided outside of Phoenix and Tucson. 83% said that obtaining a certification either through APSE, which is a certified employment specialist, or Griffin Hammes or ACRE certification or Mark Gold, that helped them increase their wages and influence their decision to stay with the employer. And something that I had always heard is that there's a lot of turnover with DESPs. And I didn't see that. We didn't see that in the survey. So I think this is a good thing. What was really good is that 40% said that it resulted in CIE placements. So that was really encouraging. 19% of the survey respondents said that they feel confident navigating to the DDD and VR systems. 41% said that they feel strongly confident in employment first principles, which again is competitive integrated employment. And a third of them said that they are strongly confident in customized employment strategies. And as the CE continues to roll out, I'm sure that number is going to increase. What they did ask for some training is training on disability employment policies, employment engagement strategies, cultural competency, and customized employment. And then we asked about, is there a barrier to you obtaining a certification? And 59% of them said it was time, and 54% of them said it was cost. So getting this information, there were some key recommendations that were made. And by the way, I just want to tell you that we made a presentation at the National APSE Conference. And so Jules Hyde, the president of the Arizona APSE chapter, Vanessa Zaman from the Colorado Office of Employment First, and Jessica Winchester, who is the Employment First. I forgot what Jessica's title is, but she's been hired. She's a great person, has great experience. She and then myself, we presented this to a packed room in Washington. And it was really good to see the interchange and the interest in what we were sharing. So the recommendations that were included are that a certification support fund be created that would fund individuals obtaining the certification, that there be an employer engagement initiative, that there be a digital learning hub, that be created, and that there be some training on systems navigation. So what the council is wanting to do is the council wants to provide a range of between 30,000 to 35,000 to help implement these recommendations. What I did is I approached the APSE chapter. I approached the Sonoran Center and asked if the Sonoran Center would be interested in taking the lead. They said they would. So what we asked them to do is to provide a scope of work. That scope of work is due August the 14th. It's going to be reviewed by staff. And then Marcy's going to take the lead on reviewing it. And then we're going to provide input and feedback. And then if there's any questions or we need some more information, Marcy will follow up with the Sonoran Center and ask them to clarify, work on the budget, whatever. So what I would like to propose is that we provide this opportunity to work on these recommendations. Kristen.
Yeah, trying to be delicate in how I word this. We already pay for a substantial amount of the Employment First activities that are happening at Sonoran, you said. And then with our work on customized employment, we've already discussed like digital learning hubs, some of those types of activities as well. So would like, if possible, to be able to see what the scope of work might look like so that we can make sure we're not duplicating efforts. And then as I continue, my agreement with Sonoran Center, my 5-year term ends next year. And we were just talking yesterday about what does that renewal look like. So want to make sure that then I'm supplementing what may or may not come out of this activity and project also, and maybe have insights into that. So, and then secondarily, I think a certification support fund is amazing and the digital learning hub, because it is something that we've talked about, but we can't pay for. So from a VR perspective, VR funds are not allowed to be used for those activities. So I do think that will fill a critical need there.
Thank you, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can share that with you. Marcy, do you have any objection to that?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Thank you very much, Kristen, for sharing that.
Sure.
I think it's definitely a good idea to kind of look and see and compare what we're doing. I know that what was proposed in this is a lot of what I hear from, job coaches or other providers that reach out to me, that they're looking for these things. Even on the navigating the VR and DDD systems, it is shocking to me that people don't know how they interplay or how they really work. Because I feel like in the beginning of, services with clients, I'm explaining to families how VR works because they didn't necessarily get a good explanation from their VRC or from whatever they're doing. So I'm like, okay, here's how the system works. Here's the part that I play. If you have DDD, here's how it works. Here's what can come afterwards. But that's stuff that we should all know, right? If we're going to transition a client after they're done with, say, job development and retention, and they're stable in their job, but they need some ongoing support, people often don't know. And so those clients fall by the wayside. They end up coming back because they're not getting that additional support that they could have through DDD. It's just surprising to me that they don't understand the systems that they're working in. That's a big thing. I love the idea of the digital learning hub. There's a lot of things on, job coaching. Some people have no idea how to even start on doing it, but how do you individualize it to a client? It's like I go in with the lesson plan like every time, unless I'm going in to just coach. I know what I'm working on. it's just interesting. And of course, pulling more employers in, we so need to do this. Certification support. I know, VR can't pay for people to get certified, right? Like you guys can't pay for that, but it is a big barrier because it's a minimum of, I think, $200 for those certifications. And it's a long process. You can't just apply and take like this SP, like it's this, you have to have recommendations. So even those things are really, job coaches may look into those certifications and they go, oh my God, I had no idea. I thought I could just take an exam. And it's good that there's a lot required, but it's also a lot of work. So it puts people off. So I don't know maybe what kind of along the way support we can provide with that. Here, it's something certainly to think about.
Well, and one of the things I was thinking about when I read that also is if it's a VR service, then do we as VR staff professionals have to have every single one of those also to be able to know what is the fidelity model, what is the way to do that, how do we manage, what do our service specs need to look like in order to, so that is a little, is a concern of mine. We have always intended to have different pricing tiers, or like if we have somebody that needs a higher level of engagement, customized employment, then you would get, and if you had one of these certifications, you would get more money for the service that you're providing versus somebody that didn't have that certification. So we've thought about that. That would incentivize people to have it. But then my other concern is how do we then make sure that I don't know enough to, and we'll have to research this, what's then our responsibility if people are saying I'm ACRE certified and I'm going to provide the service from my ACRE standpoint, and then somebody else comes in and says I'm going to provide it from a CESP standpoint. Like, so now are we going to have a single scope of work but 3 different sets of certifications providing services 3 different ways? Unsure what that dynamic looks like. So.
Understood. Or is it just if you have one of these certifications, because we vetted them, we like them all, here's the pricing tier, period. Like if you have one of these certifications, this is the bump in pay for that. So
perhaps, but they all have different requirements.
Yeah.
So what is this, what does that service specification for the scope of work need to look like for that service? And then what do those reports need to look like? All of that, they would have to somehow blend the 3 different certifications.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think it's impossible. I just think it needs a little bit more consideration on our side to be able to put that together well.
Well, and yeah, I mean, in that way, people may start getting certified and any change in the pay structure may come down the road. But I mean, the great thing would be if we have people that are more educated and doing the jobs better. There's so much national research going on right now. I just got pulled in to be on the advisory board for a huge study. It's a $750,000 grant that ICI out of Boston got that is specifically in this field. But I'm like, that's fantastic. So there's so much going on. I'm so excited. I'm like, okay. So we have something going on in Arizona, kind of push it all forward. So, okay. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts for Mike? Anything further?
I just want to mention that, again, the scope of work is due August the 14th. We will review it, and then I would like to share it with the Meaningful Careers Committee. So I'd like to request that we have another meeting shortly after August the 14th or whenever we review it. Because ideally, if the committee approves it and makes a recommendation to push it forward, then it has to go through, the other committees within the agency. And we would like to have this ideally begin October the 1st, 2025.
Okay.
So I think like a half-hour meeting, I'd like to schedule a half-hour meeting for us to review it and discuss it.
I can definitely make that happen. So, okay. So you don't need any action at this point because there's nothing
Well,
to
I
vote
think
on
we
right
need
now.
a motion to approve and to move forward with this.
With the scope of work.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. just thinking how to word this. All right, so I am asking for a motion to approve the scope of work for a collaborative project with Arizona APSI chapter, Sonoran Center for Excellence in and Sonoran Center for Excellence in Disabilities. Michael, this doesn't include Colorado anymore, right? It's just,
Well, Colorado's going to still be involved in the discussions because they have the technical expertise, and there's a possibility that they might be able to be subcontracted for some of the work.
okay, so this collaborative project includes all three different organizations.
Yes.
Okay, so let me reword that. So I am calling for a motion to approve developing the scope of work for a collaborative project. Sorry, Marcy, before I carry on. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sorry. So Michael, did you, this scope of work, is this something, I apologize if you said this, was already shared with U of A? Because they are already working on a proposal to send to us by the 14th. Or is this a different thing I'm thinking?
This is the same one. This is a scope of work that the Sonoran Center is working on.
Okay. That proposal is due to the council on the 14th of August for staff to review.
Correct.
Okay.
So do
Thank
we need a motion, Marcy?
You'll need a motion, well, your
Today.
committee will need a motion to move that proposal forward. If it goes through your committee, it's going to go through the review process if, in order for me, eventually for the council to approve, in order for me to enter into a contract with U of A. We don't have a proposal. I just sent them the process and the questions to answer, but I did not send them that because I didn't see that document that Michael was going through.
Got it.
So
It's like-
I'm sorry. So if I'm confused, I apologize.
The document, Marcy, is just information on what the project is. This is not the scope of work or anything. I just wanted to provide some information on that project.
But U of A has that.
They don't have this, the item D.
Okay.
I'm sorry for the confusion. No, I did this just for informative purposes, to share what the project was, what we were hoping to do.
So not to mean to confuse this and put off your motion. So what U of A is going to be submitting, what you asked me to send to them was provide executive summary, a narrative based on a bunch of things, and then obviously the staff and the budget proposal. How do they know what the scope of work is? Did you have a discussion with them already on that so they know what to propose and submit?
Well, they're going to base it on the key recommendations that were included in the report.
Okay,
So that's what they're going to focus on.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I don't know that we need a motion today. I mean, I think that I'm happy to call for one. Hi, Nathan. But I know that we definitely need, we need to see the scope of work once you get it back. It's due August 14th. And then review it as a committee and then approve it for there. Because the reality is we can develop anything that we want. I mean, and staff can say, hey, we like this. This is what we want to do. Then I can, if you want a motion for us to approve continuing development on the scope of work, I can call for that. I don't know that it's necessary, but I'm happy to do whatever you're comfortable with, Mike.
I'm going to have to defer to Marcy on what she recommends for this.
I can't give you a recommendation, Melissa, because again, I'm going off on submitting. I was asked to send U of A a guideline on how to submit a proposal regarding APSI and this collaboration. So I was under the impression they knew what this proposal was going to be about. So I don't know whether you need a vote on this because I'm not clear on what this is following. I'm not clear if this is a different proposal that your committee is addressing. No, it's not. Okay.
No, it's the same.
Okay. So if this was just information, it's just information. What's going to happen when this proposal comes in so that everyone is aware of our process? whenever we ask an entity, like you said, to submit a proposal in, staff reviews it first to make sure that it has enough information and the right information in the budget to support it. And then we usually have to submit it back for clarification on the number of issues. When we get that back, then we're ready to move it ahead to the committee that it's relevant towards. So you guys will have a chance to review this proposal from U of A regarding this APSI project and have it in your committee for discussion, any further clarifications you want, and make a motion on it on how you want to address it so that staff has direction from you before it goes to grants, executive, and full council.
Okay, that's clear to me. So there's no need for any type of a motion today, no, because we actually need to review that, and that's okay.
Okay.
But Mike, I appreciate that you shared the information. You went through all that with the committee, so we're all in the loop. So when we do have that meeting after the 14th, everybody will know what we're talking about, and then you can review in depth the scope of work. We can vote at that time if we want to send it forward to executive and on. Does that sound good to
That
you
sounds
and
good.
everybody? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Hi, Nathan. Good to see your face in there.
Sorry, I
Okay.
didn't make most of it.
That's all right. No problem. We're glad to see you. Okay. So thank you, Mike. I'm excited to see that scope of work once it's developed, and then we can kind of chat about that. All right. So I'm going to move on to agenda item E, our call to the public. Technically, we have Nathan on here, who's public. So call to the public. Anything you want to say or do or okay. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Agenda item F, I am going to adjourn. And Mike, if you can stay on for just a second, I just got to ask you something real quick.
Okay.
Everybody,
When is the work plan committee?
what's that, Monica?
Because I thought you just mentioned that there was a work plan meeting.
No, we'll need to have another, oh, if I misspoke, I'm sorry. After the scope of work for this project that we just discussed with the 3 different organizations, once that scope of work, August 14th, comes back and staff reviews it, we'll need to call like a 30-minute meeting for Meaningful Careers to review.
Oh, meaningful careers. I thought you were talking about work plan.
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Sorry for
Okay,
the
then-
confusion.
that's okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
That's
All
okay.
right,
You're welcome.
all right. But
Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. We can stop recording now if we're good on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike. I know
You're
that was, I knew what you were doing. That's okay.
Okay.
Confusing on that. So at some point in the next week or 2 weeks, can you and Jules and I meet? Because I spoke with Jules yesterday, about the APSI stuff. And he says, I got to be honest, it's kind of confusing right now. And I feel like Lori is trying to take some stuff over. And I'm like, you know what? Since this is out of my committee, why don't you and Mike and I meet and we can be really clear on what APSI's role would be, what the plan is, and what your decision-making power is, right? Because he often
Yeah.
feels steamrolled by her, even as president, and it's not okay. So I'm like, let's just talk about, what's supposed to happen, and if you think APSI can carry it out and get it done,
Yeah.
would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I'd mentioned to you that I want to help empower Jules as the president he's now the president,
Yeah.
And so I want him to be able to take credit for these things happening under his leadership. And so
Yeah.
I was using this as an opportunity to help him achieve that.
Thank you. I think clear once in a while his TBI still gets in there. So I think some really clear guidelines of here's what the expectation is. Here's what APSI would do. Here's where the USAID would be responsible for some stuff.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think if we can really clarify, here's what we are looking for from APSI and what that would look like how we, how that could be structured and
Yeah. Clear delineation, very specific so that it's understood by everyone. And so, yes.
And that's a good thing. Are we still recording or is our recording turned off?
I don't know if it's recording or not.
I don't know if it is. It is being recorded. So the up
So let me
button on the upper red up there.
recording. Stop recording. Okay, sorry.